Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Seriously Creative, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the iridescent effect or the holographic effect in your resin pieces. First of all, I just want to give credit to a few people who have inspired me to use this technique. So first of all, I saw Crafty Lefty on YouTube. She was the first one I ever saw using this technique in resin. And also on Instagram, a couple of people that use it quite often. You should go check out their accounts. They've got some incredible pieces on there. So Kawaii Crystal World, Moonstone Labs, and Muriel Bivens, all of which I've actually messaged just to ask them if it's okay if I make this tutorial, because I didn't really want to be giving away any kind of secrets if they feel like it's not the right time to be doing it. But I kind of think that at this point in time it's becoming a little bit more common. People are working out how to do it for themselves, and I've had a lot of people asking me how I do it, so I thought I'd make a tutorial, but I just wanted to check with those other crafters as well before I did it, and they were fine with me making this. So a lot of the time with resin, it's about experimenting and having fun. So working out how to do this by myself actually took quite a while and a lot of experimentation. So I just want to say it's really important that you do try things for yourself and actually learn things for yourself as well. But hopefully this tutorial can help, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've just got my 2-part epoxy resin that I use, my iridescent cellophane that I found on AliExpress, and my iridescent flakes that I got from my local craft shop. So first of all, what I'm going to do is mix together my 2-part epoxy resin, equal amounts. Mix it up quite well for about 3 minutes, and try not to mix it too vigorously because you'll end up with a lot of bubbles. So just try and mix it quite gently but thoroughly at the same time, if that makes sense. And then I just pour a really thin layer of the resin into my mold, and then I just go around and use a toothpick just to make sure there's no bubbles stuck in the corners. Or in this case, the bats, they have tiny little eyes, so I just use the toothpick to get the bubbles out of the eyes and just to make sure it's spread evenly around the mold. And then I just really carefully go over the resin with a lighter, and the flame actually pops the tiny little bubbles so it's nice and clear. And just be really careful doing this part because I've heard of molds actually melting, but I've never had a problem with it, but just be cautious. So then I just sit them aside for a little bit, and I get ready to cut out my iridescent cellophane. I just use a piece of resin that I've made in the past of the shape that I'd like to cut out. So in this case I've got a little bat that I made a while ago, and I'm just tracing out the shape onto a piece of paper. Or you can also use the mold itself and just hold it up against like a window or something, and you can trace the shape onto a piece of paper. But obviously in this case I've already filled up the mold, so I'm just have to use the piece of resin that I've already got. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and use a felt tip pen just to trace the shapes onto your iridescent cellophane. And then when you've done all the shapes that you want, you can just cut it out. Now I usually use a pair of nail scissors, or just any sharp scissors will do, as long as they're not too big, because then it'll be hard to cut out the shape. And once I've cut all my shapes out, I just use a cotton tip on a piece of paper and just wipe off the felt tip pen. So once you've had the resin sitting aside for about 2 hours, just to make sure it's tacky, you don't want it to be completely dry, but just tacky enough so that you can stick the cellophane on and it won't actually sink into the resin. So just really carefully put it into the mold on top of your resin. I use a toothpick or sometimes like the end of a paintbrush just to gently push it into the corners and make sure it's all nice and smooth. And sometimes it's actually okay to have the cellophane crinkle up a little bit because it kind of gives a cool effect. So it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, it just depends on the kind of effect that you want. And for this little cat shape, I'm using the holographic flakes that I got. Yeah, just same kind of thing, just use a toothpick and just stick it to the resin on the inside so it's slightly tacky, so it should just stick straight to it. Okay, so once you've done that, you can just set it aside, leave it to set overnight. And now I'm just mixing up my second batch of resin, and this is for the colours on the back. So I just mix up my 2-part epoxy resin, I add a little bit of some acrylic white paint, and then I add the colours that I want to use. I use the inks from Miniature Suite, so I'll just leave the link down below. So I do purple, pink and blue. And then I mix them up quite thoroughly and then just pour them into whatever colours that I want. So I made 1 purple bat, 1 blue, 1 pink, and then I made one with all 3 colours. I made the cat all 3 colours, and I made the moon all 3 colours. And then I always have a mould set aside for my spare resin, so I don't let anything go to waste. And then once again I just go over it with the lighter just to make sure there's no air bubbles, and then I can set it aside for about another 12 hours or even overnight again if you like, just until it's completely set, so then you can demold it. Okay, so I've left it to set and it's time to demold. So as you can see, it comes out really pretty and shiny. This one I put in fairly flat, so it's a little bit crinkled, but I didn't crinkle it on purpose, so it's fairly smooth. You can see with this little cat, the mould is actually a matte mould, so it doesn't come out perfectly shiny, but the effect's really cool. And then I've just got the different bats, so one's a little bit crinkled, one I put the holographic flakes in, and then the other one I crinkled up the cellophane quite a lot, so you can see the different shiny effects there. So what I'd usually do after this is actually put some hooks on the back and then dome it, and then I can make them into little keychains. But I might do a separate video on how I do my doming process. If you guys are interested, just leave a comment below. And as you can see, it's a pretty cool technique. I think it's beautiful the way it turns out. So thank you to all the crafters that inspired me to learn how to do this by myself, and in turn make a tutorial to show other crafters how to do it. So I'll leave some links below so you guys can check out their videos as well, and their Instagrams. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye!